And welcome to the Country Telegraph. I keep wanting to say a country practice. Isn't it incredible? Hasn't been on TV for I think 332 years. Anyway, the Country Telegraph is what we are. Nice to have your company. It's a Monday. Hopefully your weekend was fantastic. Mine was a bit, it's sort of overcast and miserable. My team, the Saints in the AFL, you know, it makes you want to give up football. And I was told to grow up. So I'm going to try. Okay, we're going to look at some of the headlines around Australia in just 1 second as I bring this in now. The peak representative body for Victoria's dairy farmers, the Australian Dairy Industry Council, has expressed concerns with the Victorian government's proposed merger of key food safety regulatory bodies. Shifting goalposts in water recovery have cost taxpayers $120 million as the federal government scrambles to replace water it must hand back under the basin rules. A two-property aggregation spanning almost 4,000 hectares has been listed for sale by giant North American agricultural asset manager and investor Manulife. A 7-point plan has been announced to safeguard WA's fuel supplies after Roger Cook was warned that farmers and small miners were within weeks of running out of fuel. One of WA's most talked about outback stations is officially heading into a new chapter. Woolleen Station, 134,000 hectare pastorals lease. It's roughly probably 700, 800k north of Perth in the Murchison, and by the way, that has been listed for sale. And finally, staff at Trentham Estate Winery in a beautiful part of, I think it's New South Wales, Trentham Estate or Victoria, but it's in the Serasia area, are crossing their fingers and toes that the weather stays nice for their 3-day Easter on the Lawns extravaganza, and this starts 4th of April. And if you haven't been to that part of the world, if you're in close by, even 6-7 hours away, who cares? Just drive or hop in the car, stay in the area and enjoy some absolutely magnificent wines. Coming up, we'll talk hay and get down and hay. We'll talk with Sam Starcevich very shortly. And before that, we'll play this clip. This is a short promo on what the people do. It's what they do for their fellow Australians. And in many areas of Australia, it's certainly lacking. This is one area that it's not.
Yeah, it's a little contribution that we can give. It sort of fits in with our work program a bit as well on the farm, so we can get away and go and help some other farmers and that have been doing it tough and been doing it tough for a while. And you never like to see that. They're not that far away, and you feel for them.
I'll work that out. Come off the strong.
Take care, eh? Yep.
The drought had a huge impact on us. We've had no income out of the pastoral lease for over 3 years because of the drought. No food, no water. The cattle suffer. Every bit that you can do for anyone always makes a difference, and this has made a huge difference.
Try that again, it's not working. Farmers Across Borders started in 2014 in Esperance, WA. Now, two WA farmers, Sam Starcevich and Anne Bell, decided to help drought-affected farmers in New South Wales, working with local growers and the Burrumbuttock hay runners. They organised 16 road trains of donated hay to Burke and Lightning Ridge. What began as one hay run quickly became a long-term commitment to supporting farmers across state borders. Now, since 2014, Farmers Across Borders has delivered more than 15,000 bales of hay and livestock feed to farms in WA, New South Wales and Queensland. Every delivery is coordinated by volunteers, farmers, truck drivers, community members, all working together to provide direct, practical support. Now, you can help keep the trucks moving by choosing to sponsor a hay run or make a donation. Their goal is simple: keep farmers on the land, keep food on Australian tables, and make sure rural communities know they're not alone. Right now, Farmers Across Borders have plenty of hay for WA farmers who are in desperate need. They need support to assist with transport costs to get the hay to farmers. The amount needed is not a large amount, given that the critical importance of the job is it's going to keep some of these farmers, if not all of them, alive and with a lot of hope, and to have a community support them psychologically, it just means a hell of a lot. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Tell me about your organisation, just from the word of the president and co-founder. Tell me about how it works and some of the headaches that you've come across.
How it works is, like you said, we're all volunteers. Anne and I founded it in 2014-13 after going through drought ourselves, and we wanted to help out, and so we did, and then we've just continued to grow since then. So we soon realised that when you're in drought, hay is in short supply. So what we actually do is we bale barley straw at harvest time, and we have a large shed that has been donated to us by CBH, which is our cooperative bulk handling over here, which we fill every year. And then if we need to, we can deliver during the times that we need to, whether it be drought or fire or flood or whatever's going on. As you said, we've been all over Australia. The last few years, we have basically been just trying to help WA when we can. We did a large one last year in July where we took nearly 90 road trains across to South Australia, but that was of hay that was purchased with another charity. But yeah, what we do is we're just trying to get up into the Gascoyne, Murchison regions at the moment, which are suffering extremely.
This is just a brilliant community effort for farmers in need throughout WA. Not so forthcoming with the dollars just to help out is your state government. Tell us about that.
No, unfortunately, the WA government doesn't recognise drought. In 2024, we had a dry season task force when the southwest of WA experienced unseasonal dry conditions. However, the rest of us in the wheat belt and grain growing areas, and particularly the pastoralists, are largely ignored. We're referred to go to government funding, which is really hard to get, and we just can't get. We're not asking for the world. We're asking for a subsidised freight fuel rate, and our drivers don't even do it at commercial rates. They basically just get their fuel covered.
If you don't get this hay to the farmers, two things: what happens to the hay, and what happens to the farmers?
Well, the straw's fine. That's all in a covered shed, so that's all good. That's not going to go anywhere. It'll still be there. As for the pastoralists and farmers, well, how long can you hang on? They've been doing it tough for a couple of years up there now. And it's just, it's a really difficult, sad situation. These guys, they're not asking for help. We've offered, but they are just so grateful.
It must be heartbreaking for you just to have this happening. If the state government doesn't help, what do you actually need?
Well, the state government won't help. What we need is, we're trying to raise funds for fuel. And, you know, the pastoralists are chipping in. I just had one on the phone about an hour ago trying to organise to auction some cattle at the next sale, or in a couple of weeks at a sale at Mouchet, and getting other pastoralists to try and donate some cattle just so we can raise some funds. So the community, you know, is just unbelievable. We do have so many people support us, but the distances we're travelling are massive. You know, it's anywhere between 1,400 kilometres up to last week we did 1,900 kilometres, and that's a one-way direction, is 1,900 kilometres to get to one of the northern stations. So and that was before the price hike in the fuel. So that was around the $9,000, $8,500 mark for that truckload to get up there. Now, you know, you can easily add a couple of more thousand to that just to get just for fuel.
Yeah, things are pretty tough on the land, and I can understand to raise that money, or it can be quite problematic. Government has it, and you know that is truly it's a nothing burger, as I would say, for the government. How do we? What about your local members? What are they doing? Do they recognise the importance of this, or are they saying none of our concern?
No, the opposition have been really supportive, especially the Nationals. Shane Love, the Nationals leader, he's actually up from that region. So they're very supportive, and they are asking the state government, why aren't they? The response we've had is, you know, oh, good job, keep going. And if they need feed, they can buy it from closer by. But you need to have the funds to be able to do that. And a lot of them, you know, it's we've got the feed for free. We can give them feed. These cattle are in poor condition. They don't want high protein. I mean, they love the oat and hay, but for a lot of them, the barley straw is keeping them alive, which is what we need to do.
If someone wanted to help, how do they do that? Besides going to your website, how do they how can they help or get in contact with you? Because, I mean, first of all, it's going to keep farmers in business. It's going to help their families. Psychologically, it's going to do a hell of a lot of good. How do we get to help? I mean, 100,000. I mean, it's to one person, that is a large chunk. But if you're looking at large organisations, or collectively, you know, having everybody dip in 10, 20, 30 bucks, you can get to that fairly quickly. So how do we help?
Yeah, well, definitely, like you said, we are a registered charity, so we do take donations that are fully tax deductible. We do have a prospectus on our website as well, if there is any businesses, which is what we'd love, is some corporate sponsorship. There's a lot of big guys out there, and like you say, we're not asking for millions. We just need to get this feed up there to those regions. And I'm always available on the phone. All our contact information is available on the website. I'm happy to chat to anyone who may be interested.
Now, I'm also intrigued with, you're at Seven Gums.
Yes.
Tell me about that place. I mean, it's like, I first thought maybe you're on the coast, which you probably are, but maybe you're not. Is it just someone having a lend of somebody and calling it Seven Gums?
No, so I'm 120 k's inland from Esperance, and Salmon Gums is actually a gum tree. It's a eucalyptus type of tree, and it turns the salmony pink colour. It's actually quite an iconic tree in the West Australian wheat belt landscape. Beautiful trees.
What about, tell us about the township. How many? What do you do?
So we celebrated our 100th last year, our 100th.
No, you don't.
For the town, it is obviously a little bit older. It used to be a mixed farming location, but now predominantly grain. It's just got too hard for everyone with livestock. Like I said, we have been water deficient ourselves for the last few years because we do have a water deficiency in WA. We just don't have drought, apparently. But yeah, no, it's a great little town. It's a great little community. It's a lot smaller now than when I first moved here about 20 or 30 years ago. But yeah.
Good on you. Good on you. Do you follow the footy?
I do. I'm a Eagles. My husband is a Docker supporter, and my eldest son's actually a St Kilda supporter, so he knows your pain.
Oh, it's terrible. You know, we spent so much money in our damn club. When we pay one guy close to $2 million a year. And do you think you would think we could win a couple of games, wouldn't you?
Yeah, kick the ball in the right direction would be good. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to playing the Weagles though, because that's one for us, I would imagine. We'll have to have a chat beforehand, just maybe a little wager. Sam Starcevich, it's a pleasure. Co-founder of Farmers Across Borders. The website's it's there. You can go to it now, or just come to our station and watch the video later on. Sam, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with your endeavours, and we will talk in the very near future, I'm sure. Sam Starcevich here on the Country Telegraph. The Regional Banking Investment Alliance includes a group of 21 regional banks fighting for their local communities to ensure that face-to-face banking continues sustainably into the future. David Heine is CEO of Regional Australia Bank and a member of RBI ALLIANCE. Now we speak to David about the regional banking network and the challenges they face and the difficulties for regional communities as bank branches continue to close. And what are the future of banking services to regional communities? Can the tide be turned back? First of all, David, thanks for joining us.
And thanks for having me, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
Tell me about the situation for personal banking in the bush, as you see it.
Well, it's dire. Since 2017, we've seen about 40% of the branches across regional Australia removed. And I think in today's age, where the need to be able to engage with a trained professional in a world full of scams and frauds and increasingly complex banking products and services, to not have that access for many in our regional communities is just not good enough. We need to find a solution which allows us to see banks honour their social contract in presenting that sort of trained services back into our towns and communities.
I've always mentioned this. I was born on the land, but we had my dad had issues towards the end with a particular bank, a big bank, and he used to deal with a small bank. The small bank understood farming and what it is like to be on the land, and then the big bank took over and they had no interest and didn't care about it, and they treated it as just a business. And I see that the big four are swallowing up other banks, but they don't understand farming, do they? And farming is very diverse, and not one farm is like the other farm. And I suppose this is where you would come into it. You actually deal with, the farms on an individual basis. How important is it to have that one-to-one contact with the bank and the farm, and not the emails or the text or the messages? It must be very, very important.
Look, context is critical, isn't it? Gone are the days, unfortunately, where we all knew about local bank manager and they understand your circumstances, your challenges, but both your skills and your opportunities. And I think we're all worse off for not respecting that was an important part of how we should properly do banking. These days, as you say, we're forced to use digital channels. We're often speaking with call centres. Credit decisions are made by black boxes, etc. They lose an important dimension of what good banking is all about. And that's about understanding the situation that your customer is facing and making sure that you work with them to make sure that they get the best outcome along with yourself. Today's age, unfortunately, just doesn't respect that anymore.
Why are regional banks, in your mind, why are they so important to Australia?
Look, they're a symbol of support, of continuity, of strength in the local.
We've just, we've just lost David there. He'll come back to us in a second, I would like to hope. To be talking about something very serious for the banking industry. He's sort of in the background. David, just keep trying, and we'll come back to you in one sec. The big four, they just do not understand what it is like to be on the land. We're still trying to get David back. He had a bit of a iffy line. What we might do is just go to a very short commercial. Oh, here he is. He's back to us now as I'm watching it. David, you're back online again. You were saying.
Look, it's and technology outages are one of the constant issues, of course, facing many of us in regional Australia. So yeah, I'm glad to see we're demonstrating some of those challenges firsthand. But look, as I say, the role of a bank is critically important, both in promoting a sense of solidity and confidence within a local economy. It's an important avenue, an important provider of banking services, including cash management to many of our small businesses. And it's also an important employer. We often forget this equation. You know, there's since 2017, about $500 million worth of salaried expenses that have been withdrawn by the banks out of the regional economies. So as an employer, the provider of jobs and career opportunities for many of our regional Australians is also a dimension that's often overlooked.
What are some of the worst states? I mean, we often hear about Tasmania, and it's I think the post office is now has taken over the banking there. But if you look at Tassie, I mean, all the states, anything I suppose further than a bus ride out from the town or the region, and forget the town, the regional centre, I suppose they say too small, bad luck.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's not attributable. The issue isn't contained to just one state or geography. It's anywhere where the equation unfortunately doesn't work for a bank these days, where the revenue opportunity doesn't exceed the cost of presenting face-to-face branch services, is where we've always seen pressure on the survival of our local branches. And I don't know that there's a week goes by where I don't receive a call from a local council saying we're about to lose our last branch. Can you help us, please? It's endemic across the country, and we need to do more. We need some change to make sure that banking services stay alive in regional Australia.
Yeah, totally agree with you. How does Australia Post fit into the regional banking network?
Yeah. It's an important part of the equation, but what we need to be careful of is not confusing the service that our regional towns and communities get from Bank at Post with proper, regulated, trained service that they can see from branch staff over the counter of a normal bank. They do present an important outlet for small denomination cash transactions. But if you're a small business looking to manage your cash float, or if you're a customer that needs to talk to someone about a potential scam that they've had perpetrated potentially on their account, unfortunately, Aussie Post are not equipped to deal with those circumstances, and so they aren't a replacement for banks, owning their social contract, their social obligation to present face-to-face banking services in our towns and communities. A very valuable part of how we distribute cash, but unfortunately, they don't solve for the whole challenge.
No, it must be very frustrating, especially when you need to talk to. You have challenges on the land, whether it's weather or whether it's government or whatever, export markets and stuff like that, and they fluctuate. I mean, the government fluctuates, or the markets go up and down. Look at what's happening at the moment in the Middle East. So this is where you need to be able to talk to your bank manager who actually understands. So we've just lost him again, and so I'm just going to the full frame. We're having a great time here. Technology is another one we should be discussing very shortly down the track, to talk about technology and why it doesn't work and why it's so important in the bush. Because without technology, it's very hard in this day and age, as we're talking about banking, for example, without that technology, that connectivity between us and the outside world, or the farmer and the outside world, really there is no such thing as doing business anymore, especially in the bush. Just waiting for David Heine to come back just to finish up this conversation. I would imagine he's standing on one foot, pointing his left foot towards north. He's back again. Now, are you, we can't actually see you at the moment, but you will come into it in just 1 second. We're just waiting for the vision of you to come in, David. We can hear you, but we can't see you. We're not, yep. We actually can't see you, David. No, sorry, David. We can't see you at the moment. So, what we might do is just keep chatting a bit, and as soon as you can come in, vision-wise, we can just finish this conversation. So, I apologise for this, but you're probably with Telstra and actually nobody else, so they're not working. But we can't see you, David. So we're having a problem, and I'm not sure if it's getting out into our market either. So if Jen could just let me know if we can actually hear David, we can continue the conversation just with a black screen. Jen, can you just send me a text to let me know if you can actually hear David? So I'm going to just go to our spot here. You're not there, but you are. David, just quickly, what about online-only banks?
Well, I think the challenges that you and I are having with this interview are a classic reason why online only is not sufficient. In fact, one of our members of our alliance has reported that they've had telecommunications outages for 6 weeks non-stop. Now, I'm not sure how anyone can read.
Well, we've just lost him completely. We might just give it a miss, I think, at the moment. We are running out of, we've done everything and he's just gone. The audio is just gone. One of those days, but we will get there. We'll have David Heine back on again very shortly to talk about the challenges for banking, the challenges for businesses to do banking. This is the Country Telegraph. David Heine was with us and he'll be joining us again sometime in the week, I would hope. Coming up next, we'll talk some really delicious subjects about wines. One of my favourite topics of all time, especially on a Friday, Saturday or a Sunday afternoon. It's just one of those magnificent drops from a great part of Australia to here on the Country Telegraph. We like to talk about the many good things rural and regional Australia are known for, and the next guest is a great example. Ben Thompson is Managing Director of Best Great Western. He is a fifth-generation family member who has worked in the family business for over 40 years. Now, Ben's passionate about maintaining best historically important vineyards, many dating back to the 1860s. And to this end, Ben is also Best Wines vineyard manager. He also has a love of the land and a fascination with applying new viticultural and harvesting techniques. Ben's passion for large-scale machinery has developed into a second business, stressless harvesting. I can't really believe there's anything called stressless harvesting. I know some harvesters. They're very stressed, so maybe we can chat about that too. And that operates a fleet of harvesters that pick fruit across Victoria and South Australia. Ben, thanks for joining us.
How are you, Mike?
Great. Tell me about, first of all, we'll just bypass the wine for a second.
Yeah.
Do you pick grapes and stuff up in Mildura?
Not so much in Mildura, but we do have a couple of machines at the moment working in the Adelaide Hills and Barossa. We also do a bit down in Coonawarra, and we've got a couple of machines up at sort of Echuca and Heathcote region at the moment. And we just picked a bit of our own Riesling here this morning at Great Western.
Stressless harvesting. Do they tell you to bugger off first of all?
No, it was more to take it out of myself. Actually, it's a bit of a joke at myself, really. So it's a good name. No one seems to forget it. They think it's a bit of a laugh, so it sort of sticks in people's heads. So
yeah, I think it's fantastic. I would have got a box in the years from my dad, but anyway, tell us about Best Great Western. It's as it says here, one of Australia's best kept winery secrets.
Yeah, Best started in the 1860s. Henry and Joseph Best originally were butchers in the gold rush, and there was quite a lot of gold around here. When the gold ran out, they planted vines in the region, and so basically Henry Best planted our vineyard, and Joseph Best basically planted the first lot of vines for Seppels across the road from us.
Has what actually has changed? I mean, if you go, I mean, I know you're not that old, and neither am I for those looking at me. But from the very start, when the first vineyard was harvested, how has actually it all changed? Take away the machinery and technology. Has it changed a whole lot from the very start to now?
I don't think there's been a lot of change. Like there's a lot of change in technology and all, but basically, when you put it in a nutshell, making wine hasn't really changed. There's different techniques and everything, but the principle is still pretty much the same as it has been. There's just newer technology to do things quicker, easier, and also probably more cleaner as well. The viticulture side has come a long way as well, where there used to be all just sort of bush vines, and now every region has a different style. We do VSP, Mildura's more sprawl. Other areas do ballerina, and there's quite a number of different pruning techniques and canopy management systems and all that going around now. But every region has their different style, and every region has basically a specialty in the wine that they make. Like we're known for, we're meant to be known for Shiraz, but I think we make a great Riesling and Pinot and Cabernet as well. And the same with all other regions. Coonawarra is known for Cabernet, and they make some great other varieties as well. So,
tell us about I think it's called Congella Vineyard. By the way, you mentioned pruning.
Yeah.
I don't know which is worse, picking, because there's spiders and snakes and everything, or whether the pruning bit, because you'd rip your hands apart. Which is worse?
Pruning is the slowest, and it's probably the most expensive thing you would do all year in your vineyard is pruning. It's very costs a lot of money to prune your vines, especially the way we like to do it. I'm a bit anal about it, so I like our vines pruned correctly, and doing that we strive to grow the best fruit we can.
Yeah, I can stand it. I mean, look at these hands. I haven't touched years, and so be it. And it's safe then to farm because I'm not near it. Sorry, back to your vineyard. I interject. Apologise.
Yeah. No, and also we've still got the original vines from 1868 planting. So we have a block of Pinot Meunier, Shiraz, and we also have a block out the front, and which you can see on the screen now. Is basically there's 40 to 50 different varieties in that block, and in that block there are still 7 varieties that are unknown. We don't know what they are. They're all DNA tested 15 or so years ago. I'd like to get them redone again because DNA testing has come a long way. But we believe we've probably got the oldest Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and probably some other varieties in the world at the moment, because we've never had phylloxera here at Great Western, whereas Europe had phylloxera. It's an environment that affects the roots, and we've never had phylloxera. So these are original vines from 1860s. We also had some people many years ago come out from Germany and take Riesling cuttings back to Germany because they're the only true clone left in the world.
What's unique about your wines, besides the historical part, which it's very important, I think, and well done for continuing that too. But what's unique about Best Wines?
Oh, they're good.
Now you're being biased, aren't you?
No, we make. My dad always says, "How do you know a good wine? When you go to get another glass and the bottle's empty." We make a very approachable wine. They're not big, chewy wines. Our wines are more delicate, more floral, more balanced. Just an easier style of drinking wine. Every region has their style, and this is our style, and it's generally the regional style as well. We make more approachable wines.
What's your best sellers? I would imagine the Pinot, because Pinot is probably is my favourite wine.
Our best sellers would be Shiraz and Riesling. Pinot and that are still good sellers, but we don't have large volumes of those, whereas our Shirazes, we have quite large volumes of that. But I think across the board we try and bat above the average. So not just concentrating on one wine, but we try and work on all our wines to be of a high standard.
The future of vineyards such as yours in Victoria.
Yeah. Well, I hope our vineyard will be here in Victoria for another 50, 100 years. I hope. It's very tough. The wine industry at the moment is very tough. There's a lot of pain out there at the moment. There's a lot of people hurting. And it's all, stems back from the China tariffs and then COVID and everything sort of going on. And it's just not Australia. The whole world's having trouble with wine. Like France is pulling out a lot of wines. The US is having problems. So it's not just an Australian thing. I think ever since COVID, the younger generation aren't drinking anymore. I think they will. It'll come back after time. Someone said to me a while ago, the world's going to stop drinking altogether. And I said, I don't think so, mate. We've been drinking wine for 6 or 7,000 years before beer, before rum, before vodka, UDLs and all that. So it's, I think it'll be around. We're just going through a bit of a hiccup, but it's a very big hiccup at the moment. It's probably at the lowest point I've ever seen the wine industry at the moment.
Then how do you fix it?
It's a horrible thing to say, but we need to reduce our vineyard sizes, basically. And it's never easy to say that, and you never want that to happen to anyone, but it's what we actually need. We need a reduction in volumes. I think since the tariffs, there's been massive problems in the industry. We probably thought when the China tariff started it was going to be 1 year, so we made the same amount of wine. Then it went for 2 years, and we sort of made roughly about the same amount of wine because we thought it was going to kind of come back. And after the third year, well, we started to hit the panic buttons, but we'd already made wine and it was already sitting in the tank, and it's just not going there. China doesn't seem to be taking as much wine at the moment either. So it's a very tough gig at the moment. There's not a lot of happy people out in the wine industry at the moment.
What about government support? How are they helping?
We haven't really seen any government support at all, to be honest. There does need to be some assistance. I remember many years ago, the government gave money for the vine pull when the same sort of thing happened, oversupply. We actually need that again. The biggest problem at the moment is the people who want to actually get out of the grapes and that can't actually afford to get out of it. So it's not a cheap job removing vineyards. So you're sort of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't kind of thing. So we definitely need some assistance to help people if they want to get out of vines and growing wine grapes and that to diversify. They need some sort of assistance to help them. If they want to go and grow almonds or tomatoes or something like that, we need some sort of assistance to help people make that decision.
If we go back a few years ago when I grew up in Mildura, and we were surrounded by blocks. They would have been 15, 20 acres, a good Italian family or a Greek family, Turk family. And the community was very strong. And I was back there late last year, middle of last year, and noticed that all those 20-acre blocks have all been bought out by big ones.
Yes.
Are they, the large conglomerates, are they also a threat to growing on the land?
Oh, I think so. The corporates, they've got their places, and other places they're probably not so good. It's a difficult one. We need the corporates, but we need them to probably be a little bit more respectful and helpful of the smaller grower to keep them in the game, because it's what we all need to be working together. It's great for one person to make a profit, but everybody in the game, all the way from growing grapes to the market to everywhere, we've all got to make a bit of a profit somewhere along the line. And I think sometimes in certain areas there might be some people just trying to gouge too much out.
Yeah, sort of greed doesn't really work, does it?
Trying to be diplomatic there.
Yes, I know. I understand. A couple of wines, I'm sure that diplomacy would just vanish. Tell me about the mining companies buying into the area. and into the region too. Is that a real concern?
I think the problem there was, this was a gold mining area, and there's gold about, and some of the people have sold their vineyards to the. It's not actually a mining company; it's an exploration company. They've sold the land to. I think if the industry was going all right, they might have stayed in the industry, or they might have been able to sell their vineyards on to another person who was interested in growing grapes. But at the moment, things are tough, and people wanted to get out, and it was a good option. So I can't say anything for them personally, but that's their decision. It's just made our wine region get a little bit smaller. It's getting a bit lonely around here. So we're not a great big wine region. We're probably one of the oldest wine regions, but we're not a very big wine region in Australia.
And if somebody wanted to purchase your wine, where can they get it from besides at the cellar door?
Cellar door, wine club. You can ring up, get onto our website, order wines. We've got a number of wines in Dan Murphy's and places like that. Restaurants quite often have them. But, if you want to speak direct or anything like that, just give the cellar door a ring or get on our wine club or anything. Or actually drop into cellar door, because I think our cellar door is quite unique, and I think people, when they come to cellar door, they're sort of blown away, because we are 160 years old this year. It's an old wooden stable that used to house original horses and all that in it. So it's quite historical, and when you come to cellar door, you can actually feel the place. It's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, the only problem is if I rolled up, I wouldn't leave. Except you said, can you go and do some picking or pruning? I tell you, nah, I can't do that. I'm out of here. If somebody wants to find out more about the winery, how do they do that, Ben?
Just get onto our website. Yeah, best wines, and there's lots of information there. There's blogs and stories and everything. Or you can just email the winery itself with any information of where our distributors are in each state or whichever country you're from. We export to quite a few countries as well. That's the best way. Or just get in touch with Cellar Door, and they'll all point you in the right direction.
I'm not fussy. A straw will do. It was terrible. I'm not going to go there at all. Ben Thompson, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And we'll do this again not too far down the track. This is the Country Telegraph.
Don't miss the 46th Annual Southeast Field Days, celebrating the diversity of the Limestone Coast. 3 large pavilions featuring a huge range of the latest in agricultural equipment. Plus our guests, Airtime FMX, Quince Queen, Kathy Hughes, and country music sensation Leah Briggs. As well, 2026 Coprice Australian Yard Dog Championships, plenty of demonstrations, trade stands and more. Over 500 sites with something for everyone. March 20 and 21 at Yakka Park, Lucindale.
Outback Australia has been getting its share of wild weather, from Mildura in Victoria to Longreach in Queensland and Katherine in the Northern Territory. Dr. Tim Cowan is a senior research fellow at the University of Southern Queensland's Centre for Applied Climate Sciences. His expertise covers climate modes of I hate that word, I'm going to stop it. Tim, how do I say that bloody word?
It's variability.
Variability. That's it. You can go back now. I'm going to keep going. Thank you so much. Within the Indo-Pacific region, when you have that one word that just throws you out, such as El Nino Southern Oscillation, the Australian monsoon and climate extremes. Now, Dr. Cowan also leads the research and development team in the Northern Australia Climate Program, helping to develop innovative prototype forecast products tailored for the northern red meat sector to assist graziers better manage climate risk. Dr. Cowan also serves as a member of the World Climate Research Program's Regional Working Group on Asian Australian monsoons. Tim, thank you for helping me out with the English language. It's that one word. I look at it and I think, oh yeah, easy, and always stumble on it. But you helped me out, and I'll have to buy you a bottle of best wines, which I'm sure you'll consume quickly. Before we talk about the dry season outlook, can you go over some of the wet season's highlights? And please tell me that it's stopped.
Oh, I wish I could say that it's stopped. You'd know that most of Northern Australia, so stretching from southern Queensland into central Queensland and then across to the top end of Northern Territory and even across to the Kimberley, it's been so wet this past 3 to 4 months. But it's not looking as if it's going to go away anytime soon. We're currently tracking a monsoon low, which has the potential to develop into a tropical cyclone off the Coral Sea, and it's looking like it's tracking towards Cape York Peninsula, and by the end of the week, and there is some probability that it could even pass all the way through across Northern Australia into the Kimberley over the next 10 days. So I know the weather agencies, like the Bureau of Meteorology, are tracking that sort of event, and we're also seeing there's a monsoon trough that's developed over sort of central Australia, and as you mentioned, it's been quite wet there. So there's every likelihood of more wet weather to come for inland Australia.
You know, you bring such great news. I'm around the Gold Coast, in the epicentre of intelligence in Lubra Lips, and beaches too. But I often whinge a lot, and I'm told to shut up, which is most unkind. But I whinge about the weather. I mean, all I want is blue skies. 31 would do nicely every day, and it's not happening. When does Australia get back to blue skies?
Well, if we look at the autumn outlook, sort of April into May, it's looking like it could be a good chance of drier than average conditions across most of southern Australia. So you may expect sort of the clearer conditions heading into June and July, but obviously when the temperature starts to drop a bit, and you might get those sort of clearer nights, which have the potential to lead to cooler mornings. But it is looking like as we head out of the wet season, at least southern Australia, heading into New South Wales and southern Queensland, look like more on the sort of drier side, and warmer than normal as well.
Where have the floods been concentrated throughout Australia? I mean, some would say everywhere, but and it has been. It's been bloody wet. So where are the most concentrated areas that the floods have had most impact?
Well, I think most of us would have seen footage of the flooding that's hit Katherine over the past couple of weeks. So that's been quite devastating. We're seeing images coming out of coming from the Daly River has been flooded. That's actually a record-breaking flood of that river, and we've seen inundation of the communities that live along the Daly River. So that's up in the top end. We've seen a lot of flooding of Queensland's Channel Country, and if we cast our minds back a year or so ago, we saw similar flooding. So just to see the Channel Country flood 2 years in a row is quite remarkable. I can't remember it in my living memory. But we've also seen floods that hit southern Queensland. So a lot of your viewers might have seen images coming out of Bundaberg and further west, so Chinchilla. And now we're starting to see flooding that's hitting Longreach, so central Queensland. And a lot of these rivers, so we're talking of like the Thompson River in Longreach, and there's rivers in the Gulf of Carpentaria, so the Norman and Flinders rivers. They're all hitting that major threshold, so major flooding. And many of these rivers, they don't just hit peak flooding and then drop away over a day. They tend to remain above that major flood level for a number of days. So that just means it sort of delays that time that the communities clean up and try and get back to some sort of normality.
And we saw that footage of, I think it was around Catherine, where no, mate, it wasn't Catherine, I think it was down in Bundaberg, the crocs running across the road. Could you imagine? Oh, I'll go and put my foot in the water. Maybe not. There's a crocodile waiting to eat me. I mean, that's also one of I mean, people don't really think about it, but apparently there were a bunch of crocodiles that were swimming, walking, running everywhere, probably looking for supper.
Well, that's right. That's one of the things they say. You know, never enter to floodwaters. They don't say never enter floodwaters because of crocs, but that is just one extra danger to consider, particularly when you're north of the tropics. So I can imagine communities up in the Northern Territory as well are having to deal with the threat of.
I was just thinking when they have pretty long memories. Oh, I saw you with a handbag the other day, and that was my cousin that you have. What about the dry season? When does it commence, or is it going to commence?
Yeah, well, typically the way it's defined is the wet season runs from about October, November through to April. So that April's when we sort of typically switch over to the dry season. So it's a bit of a gradual build-up. But it doesn't mean that means there's no rainfall at all in the dry season across the north. You do get out-of-season rainfall events, and they can be quite devastating in their own right, particularly if you're say a cattle producer up in the territory somewhere and you get hit with a rainfall event in the dry season and your cattle are perhaps not acclimatized or getting used to the dry conditions, it can be hit quite hard. And also if we have even if we enter into dry season, which we will sort of April, given the much of, say, Queensland is underwater, the issue is that as you enter into these sort of cooler days and cooler nights, if we don't have the means to dry these waterlogged soils, it just means that there's a deterioration in the pasture quality. So, and this is problematic heading into the cooler months.
What other research, as we wind up, what other research are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, so what we're currently looking at as part of my team is the sort of the rapid change in weather conditions, what they call sort of weather whiplash events. So it's when you go from one weather or climate state into another in a sort of a relatively rapid time frame. And these sort of events can be quite impactful to livestock, as I was mentioning before about cattle not being acclimatized to the conditions, and if they coming out of a dry period and then all of a sudden get hit by a strong weather system, then their ability to cope is diminished. So we have a colleague of mine who's actually looking at these transition events where you transition from quite warm, dry conditions to what we call chill conditions, and starting to look at how these events have changed in the past and how they may change in the future.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Actually, I will ask you. Barbecue forecast. Can I have a barbecue on the Gold Coast anytime soon?
Oh, yeah. I'd be hesitant to say you can. I haven't looked at the long-term forecast for the Gold Coast, but I mean it's like Melbourne in the autumn. You're bound to get one good day. Whether that aligns with the weekend is another thing, but I'm sure you'll have one good day. Hopefully, it's a Sunday or a Saturday that you can get the barbecue going.
People think we're on the Gold Coast. We have those that don't live here think we have beautiful sunshine every day.
Yeah,
and all I want,
how they market it.
But it is, I am avoiding mowing the front lawn because it's too wet, but I just want a couple of nice days, like probably 3 or 4 months of 31. I'd be very happy. That's not going to happen, is it?
Well, you're unlikely to get that as we head into the cooler months in the Gold Coast. That's not to say you won't get some nice weather, but I'd be hoping for some warmer, drier weather for, say, the Western Downs, a bit further north, and obviously into Bundaberg as well, so they can begin the task of cleaning up and rebuilding their lives.
You're in Melbourne. I mean, we used to live in Melbourne. We left it because we wanted better weather, so we came up here. You know, and the last few years, Melbourne's had some pretty good summers. Do you think I'm dark on that?
Look, Melbourne does get its fair share of good summers, and I actually like the autumn. You know, March and April are pretty good because you get the sort of calmer conditions. You know, the winds drop away. And Port Phillip Bay is generally quite warm still from summer, so it makes for good swimming. But the problem about Melbourne is that its winters can be a bit dull and grey, and as you head into spring, if you're like me and you're a hay fever sufferer, you find that spring be tough.
No, I hope it's miserable for you. I mean, truly, all of our friends saying, "Oh, we've had a barbecue today, and we've been out. It's been really nice and sunny," and it's just teeming down here with rain, or it's overcast and fairly humid, which doesn't worry me. I just want some warmth and some sunshine. And you haven't alleviated those fears of more rain for me, so thank you not. But it's been great chatting with you, Tim. If somebody wants to find out more about you and what you do, how do they do that?
Well, you can just simply, Google me. I'm at the University of Southern Queensland, and otherwise you can look up the Northern Australian Climate Program. There's more information of the sort of research that we do.
Absolutely fantastic. Next time you're up on the Gold Coast, because you told me I'm going to have terrible weather, I'm not going to buy you a beer.
That's okay. I'm expecting a wine anyway. So
I'll buy you a wine from Best Winery. When that Best Wines in Great Western, I mean, they said the 1860s some of the vineyards go back to. So there's some beautiful wines there. So maybe we can share a bottle of wine, or 2 or 3, or 4, and tell lies. Great chatting with you, Tim. Dr. Tim Cowan there. This is the Country Telegraph, and that's it for our show today. We'll catch you again, same time, same bale of hay, or same telephone box tomorrow. Drive carefully and have a good one.